Oh,
All right, Kathryn,
good morning, everyone, and welcome
to Tech Talk.
to TachTalk. Yes, it's Thursday. Yeah, exactly. So today we're going to be talking about power walls,
Okay,
because we have been talking about
cool.
Tesla, and then all of a sudden I saw this ad come out. Well, not ad, a story about Toyota getting into the home power walls, right?
Cool.
And they've got one out and it says, oh, it's got this many kilowatts and it's got this much storage. And I went, wow, that sounds really good. And then when I got into it, I found out this thing doesn't hold very much, right? It would run maybe one appliance for a couple hours, depending on what it is.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you have can I screen share, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Kathryn.
And so yeah, I got some pictures here from the Toyota's thing.
So
So
it's nothing like
yeah,
a Tesla.
no, because I did some comparisons, like because it doesn't mean any much to me, right? So you guys are seeing that on your screen?
Yes.
Yeah, it is nice that it's a nice small, right? Like to fit in, but with small comes lesser capabilities. So all this about, how much it can do and that. So, and then I went, okay, how much is it? And it hasn't been priced yet. So I was like, oh,
Mm.
you guys kidding me?
I
Where,
feel like that's not that much smaller than one of the Tesla Powerwalls. It just looks like it's on its side instead
On
of
its
up
side.
vertically.
Yeah.
right? Yeah, true. But I find that you could put right behind your bushes and no one would ever see it, right?
Yeah.
Or,
I think most people they just put the Powerwalls like inside a garage or somewhere like that where it's a bit more. It's not going to impact
aesthetic.
the aesthetic. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Homeowners, we worry about that kind of stuff, right?
Oh, of
Uh,
course.
yeah. But then I looked up to see, well, okay, oops, that's not it. Sorry. I'll stop sharing because that's the wrong one. I went to see, well, what does that mean, right? And it means absolutely nothing. So we'll do a dishwasher for 2 or 3 hours, or a wash machine, sorry, that's an average daily use, right? 2 to 3 hours, and stuff like that. Where the Tesla wall, with an inverter on it, so we don't even know if the Toyota one's got a inverter on it, right? Is $8,500, but it's expected to last 20 years. So over a 20-year, that's not very much. That's like $400 a year, right?
Mm.
And it can almost take you off a grid, right? You couldn't use it as reliable, but because you can use, if you've got sunlight, then you can run solar for the day, and then you can take it off at night. But if you don't get enough during the day, then you won't have enough to run you for the night. That 14 kilowatt hours, uh, in an ideal world, will run you for the day, right, from solar, and then for the evening, and that'll keep everything up in your house, right? Lights, air conditioner, if you're cooking supper, that kind of stuff. So that was kind of like, oh wow, so much for Toyota getting into it and using it. They're only using
Mm-hmm.
their name, right? And then I went, well, all these things I'm looking up online are American, and they're all talking about all these um, subsidies for green this and all that, and I know what Michael was talking about with cars last week, right? That there shouldn't be subsidies; they should be able to hold it on their own. But even just to help homeowners like do some of it, it would be nice to have something. So I thought, okay, Canada grants, or all that, and found out solar incentive program, it's called, that we have absolutely squat in Ontario, right? Because we all know how Ford thinks about that, and helping homeowners convert. And I was surprised, though, that we're one of half the country.
Mm-hmm.
Half the country doesn't believe in it, right? So that's that next one I've got for you here. This little.
I mean, good technology will sell itself. You don't need a subsidy for good technology. Nathan goes out and buys video games because he likes all this graphic stuff. It's tech.
Yeah, and I'm sure.
And is there a subsidy for that? No. I mean, it could spawn a pretty big industry in Ontario, programmers and graphics and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, you're looking
It'll
at,
sell itself for the right people, though, right? Like, I mean, there's plenty of, people in the baby boomer generation that'll never buy a video game because they've never thought it was worthwhile,
yeah.
right? There are people that thought TV was something that should have been demonized in the 50s because it wasn't something they had growing up. So it's, to get certain people on board, you have to incentivize them in some additional way. You can't just say, oh, hey, this will sell to everybody, because not everybody's interested in that right away. Right? Karen said herself she has no interest in video games, but I bet you if there was some sort of financial incentive for her to start picking up a Oculus Quest or a PlayStation or whatever, then there might be more interest in her to want to pick that up.
Right.
At least
Absolutely.
give it a try, right? Yeah. And not only that, the price points are quite different as well, right? I'm willing to try something that's $120, $50, and if it doesn't go well, I'll either, resell it or hand it off to my son. But this isn't something that at one of those price points, so something would have been nice. But, again, you can see that, and it's funny, I thought BC would be right up there with us, but, not much.
Yeah, really.
I was really surprised it's all the East Coast stuff. So, to get some sort of incentive or assistance or, webinars or anything like that, right? And so, yeah, it was kind of like, wow, that's kind of weird. But so we're going to keep an eye on those power walls. My husband and I are hoping to watch the market fall another 20% next month, hopefully.
Mhm.
Be back out in the market. And I'm going to play with this stuff because I cannot wait.
And I just checked out the Powerwall for Tesla, and it says, if you don't mind, I'll just read this one little paragraph. It just says, let's take the example of a 2,600 square foot house where the family consumes moderate energy and doesn't overload the appliances. So with such an average energy needs, they can do a whole house backup with 2 Tesla Powerwalls. There'll be enough for such essentials and non-essential loads like microwave, outdoor spa, AC, dishwasher, indoor lighting, the EV charger, and other major EV charger and other major appliances. So to sum up, 2 Tesla Powerwalls can provide both partial and whole home backups as needed, right? So 2. I don't know what the Powerwalls cost, but there you can have an idea.
these are being run off the solar though, right?
I know, I was looking.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
charge.
so what's the location of that?
In your garage.
No. Geographically. Is
That's a really good-
that done in Arizona? Or
Yeah,
is
that's
that
a really
done
good
in Yellowknife?
That's a really good point. That's a really
Because
good point.
The price points of how that's going to work are going to be really, really different in those locations because of just your length of sun each day, right?
Yeah, but what they're saying is that most people, not like me, I'm at home all day long, burning up electricity all day long. But for most people, they leave, and your energy consumption is really in a short window at the end of the day, right? Between usually from like say 6 o'clock until 9:30. Most people go to bed at 10
When they
o'clock.
charge you the most for it.
When they charge you the most. So you just need the Powerwall to work that long. And if you didn't get any sun, I don't know how long those Powerwalls will, how long that energy from full would last. But I'm assuming a few days. But you just need to have enough energy coming in the day to give you those 4 hours at night, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of it. It's a lot of depending on, but it's at least giving you some options to go off grid, mostly off grid if you can. Yeah. Frida, what's up?
Yeah. I guess I should turn my camera on, but I'm just getting up. So
Oh, no, you had your hand up.
yes, I put my hand up because I wanted to throw a comment out there that I'm able to help people get off a smart meter.
That's
that
right.
It doesn't matter what time you use your power, you're just paying approximately mid-peak with us. But then we also have an incentive program that actually pays you back a rewards program on the commodity that you're using. So you're almost getting back the whole amount that you're spending on hydro, on the actual commodity. You're getting it back in a rewards card that you can cash in at Walmart or wherever. So it's a wonderful incentive program that actually offsets not only the cost of it, but it gets you off the smart meter.
Oh,
So.
there you go. Yeah, we don't have the option in the condo here, which is kind of hard because my husband is always home, like on and off home all day. Now I'm going to be home all day, and so it's like this really sucks. But, yeah,
Yeah, some condos allow us to go in and do a presentation to everybody, and then the condo board votes on it. A lot of times they do accept the whole the whole condo comes onto our program. It's just a matter of setting up a meeting with everyone. So there's a couple independent.
We don't even have the choice. We don't even have the choice for the smart meters, because I asked about that, right?
Well, nobody has a choice in Ontario. They've put them on everything and everywhere.
Oh, okay.
So, and they just gone ahead and done what they wanted to do. But you're able, as a condo board, they can look at the different providers, and then they can choose to go with somebody that's going to save their participants money. So
I'll mention it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'm actually joined a condo board here in Brantford, just trying to get some fingers in the door sort of thing.
Yeah.
But here in Brantford, we don't have the power yet because they haven't acquired all the companies within Ontario, but we have acquired Oakville, Hamilton, Burlington, Toronto, London, Kitchener, like all kinds of areas. And then All Hydro One is on with us as well. So, yeah.
Excellent. That's good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That it's going to be on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So until we can afford or choose to come off the grid, we've got some great alternative, but I wanted to show you a new battery technology. Okay. It's not the technology that's new. It's how they're framing it up to take less space and so forth. It's called the Blade battery. And it is one of Tesla's new battery suppliers. So it will be interesting to see how much of it they utilize. Screen 2, yes. And you should see that in your window, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And of course, Zoom covered up my YouTube stuff. Here we go. I know what Kathryn forgot. I forgot. Why do they make you share the sound? Wouldn't you always want to share the sound? Anyway.
Have you unshare the sound? That's it, right?
Here we go, guys. This is the next one, but hey, you might as well watch it because it's fun.
Fire.
Yeah, lithium burns pretty hot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it didn't do it. Okay. So much for grabbing YouTube links there. Sorry, guys.
So what was special about that second battery? I missed that.
It's a Blade battery.
It didn't ignite.
Yeah.
Right, but why?
Technology.
The way
I'm not going to tell you.
Together, yeah.
Because they're both lithium, weren't they?
Yes, and no, it is, but
They don't say.
it's
right.
the way they put it together. So here, this is the one I should have been sharing. I apologize. really it feels like Monday, right? It needs me to work at 7 in the morning in Toronto.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was pretty neat. And so because of the spacing, that's why it didn't explode.
Stop.
Oh, stop, yes.
I thought somebody joined the meeting to do that. Somebody just joins the meeting just to go stop.
Yeah, really, stop what you're doing. Yeah.
It's amazing that Tesla is choosing to use BYD batteries.
Yeah, it's one of 5. I think it said 5 battery companies.
Because they worked so hard with Panasonic to come up with that battery that they created, and now they're going to go with BYD's, which of course BYD's been around forever doing batteries, right? I mean, they're probably the largest battery maker in the world, but it's shocking that. And by the way, if you're ever interested, you should take a look at BYD's electric vehicles, because they probably make the most electric vehicles anywhere out there. So, but I'm just shocked that Tesla would go there. It's interesting.
What's
I
the
heard
difference?
something really interesting the other day, and it kind of surprised me because I've never seen one yet. But they say in about 3 years from now, Volkswagen will take over as the #1 by volume manufacturer of
I
electric
heard that.
vehicles. And I'm like, I've never even seen a Volkswagen electric vehicle. Like, has anyone ever seen one?
The
Yeah.
ID4 is coming out it's
Yeah.
supposed to come out this year. That's the
That's
first
right.
one, I believe.
Yeah, and they were actually late to the game, right? They kind of held off because they were looking to work on a hydrogen cell, I think. But now they're in it, and they're in it to win it. But so is everybody else. Everybody's in it. Like, I think GM, what they're doing with their electric fleet coming up, I think that they're trying to dominate.
Yeah.
Do we really? Do you really
Actually-
think though there's going to be one major winner, or is it just going to be like where we are now with gas vehicles, where everyone's going to have sort of like? Because I think even over the 100+ years that automobiles have been available to the everyday consumer, some people prefer Chrysler, some people prefer Toyota, some people prefer GM. Like, there's enough market space that everybody can sort of play to a degree. Do you really think that Tesla or Volkswagen or Honda or whoever is going to be like the #1 by any sort of?
Okay, I'd
measurable
love to
way?
respond to that, because I think that vehicle sales over the past 10 years have shown that people want innovative vehicles, right? They don't want GM to show us something that's really, really sexy, then take it back to the drawing board and strip out all the sexiness out of it and give us a plain car. But Tesla comes along and they put out something that is so radically different. Interior, exterior, the exterior is pretty normal, but the interior is so different that now car companies out there are doing it. And then you got a car company like Hyundai, that has come into the market and just says, listen, we're going to give you standard crazy features, standard tech that's going to blow your mind. And now it's hard to drive down the street and see. I think they've got more vehicles on the road than Toyota does. I mean,
I think Nathan's got a point though, but you will get those people that will be drawn to the innovators.
Yes.
That's why we haven't drove anything except Kia or Hyundai in the last 22 years.
Well, I think that's what created the market for the Japanese cars in the 60s and 70s, is that people were sick of seeing the same GM and Chrysler cars for decades, and then all of a sudden Toyota was coming in with some new intuitive technology, or
Yeah.
Subaru or whoever, and that's what sort of pulled some people away from the domestic market and into the imports. But
Yeah.
I still think, there's still plenty of people out there that are driving a
Drive the
Chevy
car
Cavalier or
all they're
whatever.
built.
You know what I mean? Like, I get what you're saying about people definitely are attracted to the sexy, innovative models and that kind of thing. But I still think there's going to be a number of people that like the tried and true.
I think
I'm sure, you know what I mean?
I think
Yeah.
Jim's figured it out because I mean, if you see the new Bolt, right? They've got the new Bolt U or whatever it's called, right? The new one. They had the regular Bolt, of course. They had the recalls, and then they came out with this new Bolt, which is bigger and sexier, and now competing with the original Bolt. And it's because they're responding to demand. They're realizing that consumers are going to leave them and go for Hyundai.
I was going to say to you, it's actually competing against the Ioniq, right?
That's right, it is.
That was the last conversation my son and I had, which is Nathan's age, right? Saying that that he was looking at the Bolt and the Ioniq 5, right? And I went, the Bolt. That's how I found out they had upped the game.
And if you look at the Ioniq 5, first of all, a crazy, sexy car with good size and comfort. And then you had the original Bolt, which was this tiny little thing. Now they said, okay, we got to compete. So we're going to give a bigger car, and it looks, and even they're starting to get the Bolt, the Ioniq 5 has these edges on the side panels and stuff like that. Well, now the Bolt is kind of getting some edgier kind of shape to it. So I think that's where it's going to go. I think consumers are going to drive the future of it because, we want sexy, right?
And just last night, I saw an ad from Chevrolet. If you buy a Chevy EV, they will come and install at no charge your home charging station.
That's GM's draw right now. Yeah.
Wow.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, I just saw that ad last night, actually, for the very first time.
$1,500.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's since they started with the Caddy that they were trying to get in again, Nathan's demographics, right?
Right.
They've been doing that home installation. Yeah.
For free. Well, and of course, the commercial says that now the Cadillac is instead of 35 is now 36.5, but it's okay. You're getting a charger for free.
Yeah. But it's one less hassle you have at the end of it, right? I don't think anybody thinks that you're getting it free, but it's part of the package. And it is, again, it's one less hassle, right? If they're going to say, we'll give you your winter tires and the rims, you're going to go, awesome, thank you. You're paying for it, but at least it's there.
That's right.
I mean, everyone's going to...
You might be a little upset, but here you'd be happy about it.
Yeah. And everyone's going to be making them, obviously, but somebody's going to be number one. Just like right now, somebody's the number one producer of gasoline cars. I think right now it's either Toyota or Volkswagen.
Yeah.
If you look at like worldwide sales, you look at total units sold worldwide.
Yeah.
Right. And someone's going to be number one.
Sure, but are they by a mountain or are they just kind of?
Toyota's usually it's the last 10, 20 years. It's Toyota and GM. And sometimes Volkswagen duking it out for the most units sold globally.
Okay.
Now GM's fallen off a bit because they sold their European division. They no longer own it, so they don't really manufacture vehicles in Europe anymore.
And that's the other part of it is how wide their touch is in the world, right?
Yep, obviously.
Again,
absolutely.
You're going to find Toyota is in Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi, they're global.
They're global, yeah. You can't go south of the equator without seeing one of them, right? With their work trucks and their little, they're so cute. Some of their work cabins, those little stubby noses and in a short bed, and you're going, I want one of those, but you'll never find it in our market because they're only made for that kind of market. So yeah, it's pretty interesting, that's for sure. But yeah, Nathan, it'll be interesting. I think one thing that's really good is that, as you know, as soon as somebody comes out with something, everybody follows suit. They might be the first one to bring out airbags, right? But everybody followed suit shortly after. And then because they realized it was such a good thing that they go, maybe that shouldn't be an option. We should just make it standard on cars, just like the ABS kind of thing as well. Those were all options when cars first started with that technology. That was their only selling point they had for a very short window of time.
Wasn't seatbelts like that at one point too?
Yeah, I don't know if it was because nobody wanted to wear them, even when we
I
got
remember vehicles without seatbelts.
Yeah,
No, but I know that eventually all cars like they didn't have seatbelts, but wasn't there a time where seatbelts were an optional feature like ABS
Oh.
and airbags and things like that?
maybe
In the
I'm not
60s.
quite that old.
In the 60s. I
I'm not
can
trying to
remember,
age anybody here.
Yeah.
It's all way before my time, so I'm genuinely
Yeah.
just wondering.
Yeah,
I remember our first vehicle with a seatbelt in the rear seat. And that was was it a 67 Impala wagon, station wagon? That was the first one that had seatbelts.
Yeah, I always sat in the back of our Ford Town Squire, so I don't know if there were any seatbelts in the front seats.
And then in our 71 Ford country sedan wagon, that was where they had the optional shoulder belts.
But it was
in the front.
all tucked up above the
Oh
driver's
yeah,
door.
it was this big clunky thing, and you could either clip it on or not clip it on. It was
Yeah.
it was a pile of junk.
I think that's when they became mandatory. I do remember that because my parents had a 75 Olds, and that's they made it smaller clip, so you knew which seatbelt went into what clip.
Yeah,
like
my dad
seat
bought
Titan.
one Ford in his life, and it was the biggest pile of junk car he ever bought, because that was when Ford had their problem with corrosion protection in metals. So he picked
Which
this
decade was that? Sorry,
1970s. So he picked this car up
the
on
80s.
the last day of 1970, December 31st, 70, and he traded it in I'm going to say April 74. Most of the car was gone. It had literally rusted away, like the car almost didn't exist anymore.
I don't know what year my parents' town squire was. It had to be the late 60s. It was the good old olive green with the wood grain paneling.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that thing didn't last very long. My oldest brother got that really, really quickly.
It was probably the same thing. That whole sort of some 69 into like 72, 73. It's very rare to find a vintage Ford from that era, because they all just rusted away in like 3 years.
The 80s weren't any better. We had a Ford Escort that the transmission or the clutch with two drivers lasted way longer than the body. I was at a course yesterday, and it was mostly people my age, but a few Nathan's age or younger. And we were talking about, we bought a Ford Escort, right? The precursor.
I had one of those.
Focus. Back when they were called a pony, until they realized that they couldn't do that with Hyundai anymore, right?
Was it the Pony, or was it the Pinto?
No, not a Pinto. God, no, I wouldn't have bought a Pinto. But we're talking the 80s here. We're not talking the 70s with the Pintos that blew up because everybody got rear-ended. So it was a 4-speed, vinyl seats, and AM radio. 1986, the year we got married. That was our first car bought together. And you had to I was telling somebody, you wouldn't believe the RPMs you had to rev that puppy up in third to get on the highway, to get to the right speed before you put it in fourth, right? Because you get run over in fourth. Just like Michael's example on the Autobahn, It was horrible. We lived in Mississauga with the shorter lanes then, and on ramps, my goodness.
Ford built some pretty uninspiring vehicles back then. I had a rental Tempo for about a week because my car had gone in the shop. Somebody had hit it, so I got this rental, and I had to go to London, and it was before they built the 403.
Yeah,
the 403 ended in Ancaster at the time. So I had to go up Governor's Road to go out of West Hamilton. And I got on the hill on Governor's Road there where the metro was going up the hill, and the light was red and turned green, and I pushed the pedal down
Nothing
and
happened.
it started moving. And I'm like, okay, is this acceleration going to come sometime? And it was like it was struggling to get up that hill at 30 miles an hour. Right?
I had a
It's just,
Chevette like that.
they were bad. They were very uninspiring vehicles.
And they had a sister car. It was the Ford
The-
Tempo and the
And the Topaz.
Topaz, Mercury Topaz. That was it. Yeah.
Yep. It was like, and just like there was the Mustang and there was the Capri.
yeah,
They always had those sister vehicles.
yeah, yeah.
The Maverick and the Comet.
Yeah,
with
those
these-
are names. Bring them back out again. Sorry, Nathan.
No, I was trying to ask more about those blade batteries. So did they say anything, or did anybody find anything about the weight of those batteries in comparison to like the traditional lithium batteries that are being used in EVs right now? The only reason I ask is because one of the happy benefits of an EV is that it's got such a low center of gravity because of how heavy those batteries are, especially when they're sort of lining the undercarriage of the vehicle. So do those blade batteries have that same sort of heft to them where it can kind of keep your car, lower center of gravity when you're driving in crap weather and stuff like that?
So what the advantage is they're thinking that because it has the same capacity or possibly better is what they're touting right now, is that because of the way they're spaced, and they do need some width between them for heat release, right?
Okay.
So they can't be packed right like the lithium ions are right now. It's like battery.
So I guess the question then would be the weight per kilowatt hour or whatever measurement you use for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but the overall weight, they were believing that they can make it extended ranges by putting more in.
Okay.
So although there will be a gap, it won't be like doubling it because they can't put them
Right.
that close, but they will be able to get extended rates. So I would imagine the weight won't be exactly, but it will be better. That's just like the new solid states that they're trying to do. Again, they don't have to be as big, but they need gaps for to keep cool, and they'll just extend the range.
But I think that's a bigger innovation than the weight part, because I think the one thing that's still keeping a lot of people from going EV is that range anxiety and the fact that you can't find a gas station as readily, or sorry, you can't find a charging station as readily available on all the major highways as much as you can a gas pump, right?
And so don't recognize them, right? My husband had made a comment to me, and I said to him, "What are you talking about? We've got EVs all like stations all over around here." And so I said to him, "Did you not remember the four at Canadian Tire in the parking lot?" And he looked at me like I had grown a third head. He drove by them and never dawned on to look what it was. It's just this little awning, over a little stand, it appears to him anyway from the backside. And he just would drive by it and never recognize it. Even the Teslas out at Lime Ridge, they put them way out at the road for advertising, I'm sure. But I couldn't imagine having to slug all the way into Lime Ridge from the main road.
But we're also in the GTHA, right? So I mean, for us, it's a lot more prevalent to have that network. And if I'm driving, say, QEW through Burlington, Oakville into Toronto, I'm going to see a Tesla probably every 45 seconds to 2 minutes going down those highways, right? I go visit my family up in Peterborough, I'll be lucky to see 5 or 6 in a 3-day trip, because there's probably way less interest up there. There's probably a lot less charging network up there. We're sort of in a bubble here where we're seeing a lot more of that stuff evolve now, but we're also in it because we're in such a denser population area.
Yeah, true enough. But that is going to grow, right? Because especially during COVID, right, all our GTHA people went like this and migrated into the more rural, like, Peterborough is not considered rural anymore, although it is a distance from Toronto. It's very forward, I guess, if you would say it, right?
It may not be considered rural, but when you go up there for 3 days and you talk to the people, it's still
Oh,
very
yeah.
rural. Trust me.
Hey, I wouldn't go live in Niagara Falls either after being in Toronto and Hamilton, but it's not considered rural, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Uh, and there are hometowns, so we do have a little bit of a tinge of disdain to them, but you know, just a tinge. But
Yeah,
I think those batteries, if they're going to
last.
put out a new battery, it's going to have three things. It's going to be lighter, it's going to be more efficient, and it's going to be cheaper to produce.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. They're not going to do something that's going to and the center of gravity, it doesn't matter how much that battery weighs. The crucial part is that the battery's low to the ground. That's what gives you your center of gravity, keeping your weight low, whatever that amount is. And you do want to reduce the weight, because when you reduce the weight, that also will contribute to your range because you got less mass to move.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm hoping you're right, because I know my husband, I can't sell EV in my house because of the range anxiety. In fact, seeing that, I think I just put an article up on the site regarding that and talking about the different things that we can do to get around that, right? But yeah, I'm with Michael. I hope that these are all just improvements, and we're going to move forward on that for sure, right? And just before we leave you, I want to show you with tech, but in a different frame of mind. Sure. Yeah. So IKEA in Europe, unfortunately, it's not here.
I love it.
Isn't it amazing? It is, let me just pull up my sheet here.
Please tell me you have to assemble it yourself.
No, you don't have to.
It's IKEA. Everything at IKEA you have to assemble yourself.
I know.
And you got those god awful instructions.
Yes. And so these range from they're 17 square meters, which is approximately 51 square feet. In Europe, they range again from 40 to 54,000 euros. So that's 76 to 102,000 here. You can leave it mobile if you want, right? But it can be a completely grid free. Let me just get to the next picture here, right? So there you go. The cupboards are made from recycled, part of the fabricating of the cupboards are made from recycled bottle caps, right? As you're aware here, we can't recycle bottle caps or plastic bottle caps, but over there they're able to do it. So, and it's a lot of wood because it's a Swedish company that has teamed up with IKEA, who's Swedish, and they have 80% of their interior is wood. So yeah, it was kind of neat.
I love that it's called minimalist interior when that couch has at least 17 pillows on it.
It would have one, if nothing, right? Just
That's not very minimalist in my definition of it.
Maybe they're talking about what comes with the house. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty neat, and it allows you to put it in. One of the other related articles is, you know, in our northern areas where you want to have a cabin, but it has to be, you can't put anything up because you can't have anything on the grid, right? You can't have sewage, you can't have water, you can't have electricity. These fit those loopholes, right? Because they are self-sustaining. So it's kind of neat. I hope this kind of stuff comes over to Canada.
54,000 euros.
Yeah.
That's not cheap. Was
No.
it $1.40? I think $1.50 for a euro. So you're looking at.
Oh, I thought it was $1.90. I thought it was just under $2.
Oh, maybe it is. I thought it was a little lower, but
Yeah.
even
So
at
yes,
$1.50, that's still $75,000, $80,000. That's pretty expensive.
runs from 76. Theirs is 40 to 54,000 euros. So for us, at 190 is what I did. That's my daughter always just tells me that the pound is just over and the euros just under. So I did 190 and it's 76 to 102,000, right? But hey, where can you buy a cottage in Ontario for $100,000? Nowhere. That's inhabitable anyway, right? So, just something to keep in mind. All right. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining. Don't forget, we have the Women's Business Club, right? This afternoon. No, it's not today. I thought you said when you were texting it was the Women's Business Club today. It's next week. There was a messenger going on this morning. It is next week? Good. Don't forget that okay. Ivan. Fair enough. We got next week. Don't forget Monday's Coffee with Ivan and Lisa's Discussion Lounge, and then axe throwing Monday night. I know you guys have let us know whether you're coming or not, which is great. I got a hold of them yesterday, and Battle Axe has got us reserved, lanes reserved with our instructor, and they'll set us all up. Yeah, have a great weekend. Stay hydrated today. So you want to live to see tomorrow because it's going to be beautiful for the weekend, 3-day weekend, everybody.
The euro is 135.
Oh, is that all? Oh, there you go.
Yep. 135 for a euro.
Oh, she'll be really happy because her boyfriend is Southern Ireland. So they're European, right? Union. So they don't do the pound, but there you go. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.
Have a great weekend, all.
Yep.